So today there was a story in the news saying that NYU, New York University in New York, will pay for med school, and that's amazing. I guess 10 years ago they wanted to do this for their student, uh, and in the last 10 years they were able to raise enough funding to make this happen, and so they announced it to their student that their tuition will be free. Now I don't think that includes room and board. And in New York City, I would imagine it's probably 15,000 to maybe even $30,000, just the cost of rent and living and things. So there's additional cost to it. But even if just the tuitions are free, I mean that's still very helpful. And I think the key is they want to encourage student better applicant, right? If med school tuition part is free, they're gonna have better applicant. People who would have otherwise gone to even better programs, they would go to NYU. Now NYU is a good program already as it is. So, and also the other thing is they want to encourage people to go to a specialty that pays less, just because there's a need. When you have tuition very, very high, people tend to want to specialize in more lucrative specialties. Now, exactly how expensive is med school? In doing some research, I found that people think med school costs anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000. Again, that's depending on if you go to cheap public school or very expensive private school. And that's for 4 years total. About $200,000 to $400,000. Now, that doesn't include four-year college, which could you could end up in debt for $100,000 to $250,000 just for college. Again, that's if you go to private or public. So we're talking about anywhere from 300 some thousand to over $500,000 in just tuition for the 8 years, 4-year undergrad, 4-year med school. Now they also mention opportunity costs. Assuming, let's say after college you're working, and assuming these are very good students, they work very hard, they're smart. Hopefully they could get a job that pays them $30 an hour. I know this maybe seem a little high, but assuming they're the best college graduate, you times by they're studying probably 80 hours and they're probably working as a resident is capped at 80 hours. There used to be more per week, but let's assume it's 80 hours. So that's $2,400 a week. You times 50 week. Again, as resident, you actually work more than 50 week. You could probably 2 to 3 week of vacation. And so, assuming you work 50 weeks, so they could make $120,000 a year. Again, they're working 80 hours, a day, a week. So, $120,000 a year. You times that by 4 year of med school, and then let's say 3 year a short residency, 3-year residency. So you times 7. So that's 840,000. Okay. Now, if you do a 7-year residency, okay, and plus 4-year med school, that's 120,000 times, right, 4-year med school and 7-year residency. That's 11 years. Okay, so that's $1.3 million of potential loss income. I understand, some people would actually, if they would have just finished college and gone to work, some people probably do less than this. But, I'm sure you also have people who went into finance, banking, or went into internet, Silicon Valley. They may have retired, got enough equity and retired in the same period of time. So again, I know the number varies, but let's say it's about $1 million of loss, $1 million of lost income. On top of it, you're paying $300,000 to $500,000 of $300,000 to $400,000 tuition. So it's just, and on top of this, you have to pay interest on all these money, anywhere from 4 to 5%. So I mean, it's significant. I mean, you're over $1 million and you're paying interest on this and for the next 30 years. So again, making med school tuition part free, it's a huge thing. I think I think if you value education, all college should be free. Again, is there example of that? Yes. I know in Australia, in some other countries, their colleges are very, very cheap compared to the States. I don't know how they finance that. They could finance it through higher taxes for the people, higher taxes to the businesses, or frankly, some country budgets print the money. And That's a whole nother talk. But if we want quality people to go into something, we shouldn't make them go into debt for $300, $400, $500,000. Again, the incentive is not aligned. You want to get the best people, give them a cheap education. Again, I'm not just talking about medical. I'm talking about anything you value. You need to make it affordable for them. Again, in doing this research, I thought of it in other fields, sort of school, for example, right? If you want if you want great teachers for your kid, the teacher should be paid a lot more. Again, that's not what I think, but that's just sort of how the world is incentivized. Smart people, capable people tend to, not always, but they tend to go into fields that's more lucrative. They have dreams and aspirations just like everybody. And again, I'm happy that NYU is able to do this, and I wish all schools, again, I'm not just talking about med school, but all schools that really value good people, they need to make it really affordable. Now the other thing is, tuition would be a lot cheaper if students are not able to obtain the loan. So for example, if the bank won't lend money, all the tuition prices will fall and it'll be much more affordable. But because the bank and the government, they subsidize loan, they'll give you loans as a lot more money, then tuition sort of skyrocket, and people come out of school with all this debt, and with all these debt, it's really hard to make the best choices. Anyway, this is Dr. Yang, and if you enjoy my channel, go ahead and hit subscribe and hit like button, and feel free to share with your friend. Thank you so much.